Today's sermon is one that was bought by our own Janet Lowe. Janet, could you raise your hand? She bought it at the auction. She assigned the subject to me, and I'm hoping and I'm praying that after the sermon, she does not demand her money back. We'll see. Pursuit of spirituality is in the mission statement of this congregation, which states that the mission is to foster spiritual growth, care for each other, protect and preserve the earth, and work for peace and justice. So that statement is read in every service that we have right before the offering is taken to reaffirm its importance for the life of the community. But what do we mean by spirituality? And what is the relationship of spirituality to science? Because science, as we know, is the source of all the greatest changes of our society and our individual lives. We are blessed in myriad ways with the fruits of science. But what is the relationship between science and spirituality? I believe that they represent different expressions of human potential and possibility. Science seeks to uncover the underlying laws and processes governing all physical, chemical, and biological activity that we know or can know. It uses observation, experimentation, the formulation and testing of hypotheses. It relies on evidence, logical reasoning, and is always open to revision and new data that can change things and new discoveries that can change things. Religion and spirituality, and in a moment I will separate both by definition, but religion and spirituality, in contrast, is the human response to the challenges of the human condition, which we cannot escape. Examples of these challenges are, how do I face the reality of dying and the death of loved ones and my own finite limitation? What is the meaning and purpose of my life? How should I spend my precious human energy and time? What is morally right, and why should I care? What beliefs and principles to guide my behavior are worthy of my allegiance? How can I face and deal with tragedy and loss? How can we responsibly use the powers granted to us by science? And how do I deal with uncertainty, not knowing? Because for many of us, life is always like a lighted room, but we look ahead and we look further into the future, and as our eyes seek to penetrate the furthermost distance, things become darker and more obscure, and we don't know. How do we live with that uncertainty? Science can inform us and does inform us about the facts of life, which we can use to formulate our responses to these questions. But science does not provide answers to these questions in a definitive and conclusive way. Allow me to distinguish between religion and spirituality. Spirituality is the process of a person attempting to reach satisfying and fulfilling, if imperfect, resolution to these questions of meaning, purpose, resilience, and morality. Part of that effort is to develop beliefs and principles and purposes and goals that bring meaning to a person's life, that satisfy for them the great yearnings of the heart and the great questions of human existence. This is always, always a highly personal task. I cannot do it for you. You cannot do it for me. We can help and guide and encourage and strengthen one another, but we cannot walk the path of life by another's hand. We must choose. Religion represents the spiritual experiences of people from the past. Religion is an attempt to depict what was real and true and vital for people in the past. And in the process, it captures the spiritual life of people from that form. These beliefs are then promoted and defended as though they are true and the only way, and they become linked to a religion's identity. And people, by and large, go along with it because the benefits of continuing to believe, of having those answers to life's most vital questions, is so important and so vital that it outweighs the dangers of disbelief. People have gone to war with others because of differences of opinions in religious beliefs. But religions carry down through the ages, and this is one of their great benefits. They carry down through the generations important terms and symbols that were alive in the past and are alive now. And it is valuable to take important symbols from religion and to attempt to define what it would mean for spirituality today within a framework of a scientific understanding of the world. Let me consider three terms. I will consider three terms: God, Savior figure, and salvation, all key to all the major religions. First, consider the word and symbol God. The word God has different meanings in the three great monotheistic belief systems of history: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. God has a wide variety of definitions and interpretations among people. The word God, I believe, is a symbol which can have many different meanings. For me, however, God has come to symbolize three things. And God, the word God, is a symbol for me of three real things I experience in life: nature, the infinite creativity of the universe, and the mystery of life. All three are real things I experience every day. We encounter, I believe, God in nature, in one another, in created things, and in our relationship to life right now as it is happening. If somebody asked me, how do I encounter and experience God, I would say, I encounter God in you. As the song we just sang, for me, each one of you is an expression of the creativity of God. And God being something that's unknown and mysterious. But that is how I understand the word. Secondly, God, for me, is a symbol of the infinite creativity of life. That too is something I experience as real. By infinite creativity, I refer to life's limitless growth, change, and adaptation. Such creativity is evident on all levels of biological organization, from the molecular level to the complex interactions between organisms and ecosystems. New forms of life arise, Life is incredibly resilient. It is limitlessly creative. Why? Why is life like that? I don't know. For me, it is part of the mystery and a symbol for what God means. Third, God for me is a symbol for the mystery of life. The universe is a place of infinite space, exploding stars, black holes, exquisite orderliness, the rise of the human which can actually comprehend that orderliness. It is a place of violent disruptions, endless regeneration, and other marvels. And so I agree with the scientist Ursula Goodenough, who said, the more we learn about the natural world, the more awe-inspiring and mysterious it becomes. We worship God by being appreciative and respectful for life as it manifests itself in nature, in ourselves, and in one another. I cannot understand the symbol of God other than the way I have just expressed it. Two other terms from religion I will consider that are relevant to a current and contemporary spirituality are Savior and salvation, because all the great religions have saviors and a path of salvation. Let me start by saying that if you observe the human condition that is expressed on the pages of the New York Times every day, if you read it through, human beings are driven by fear, greed, pride, delusion, a desire for power and control over others, and other drives and passions. Human beings are continually vulnerable to the influence of these tendencies. Compassion, empathy, respect for others, reverence for life are also part of human nature, but they require nurturing and development. And that sets up a tension between right and wrong, maturity and immaturity, destructive behavior versus life-enhancing behavior within human beings. And there is a continual struggle within us between, on the one hand, the intention to be aiming at things that develop well-being, peace, healthy relationships, kindness, compassion, moral purpose, respect for the interdependent web of life. And on the other hand, what diminishes, negates, or destroys life. Of this I am certain. The life course of a person guided by beliefs, principles, and values that honor life, healing, and moral purpose is radically different from the life course of someone who is not so guided. Society, I am also sure, if it is to survive and if it wishes most certainly to thrive, must have organized groups that promote and embody life-respecting principles, beliefs, and values. The great figures of religious history, such as Jesus and Buddha, provide a path away from the chaos and destructiveness and help move people toward the good. I am also certain that each person must find right beliefs for themselves and that no one can create right beliefs for another. But within this framework, I fully embrace the term salvation and savior figures because humanity is in need of redemption. And when I speak, for example, of Christianity and Jesus, and the benefits and the importance of that, I'm thinking more of Jimmy Carter than the standard version of Christianity, which I think is so perverted in our current age. But Jimmy Carter is an example of someone who takes Jesus seriously, and it had benefits for his life. At the core of spirituality is a form of faith or trust, or ultimate trust, that God, which is to say nature, the cosmos, the infinite creativity of nature, and the ultimate mystery of life can be trusted. That to me is of fundamental importance, that we're able to walk in life and believe that the world that we are a part of is worthy of our trust. Rather than being in opposition to science, spirituality would greatly increase its power and standing if it made science a trusted partner and ally. I agree fully with Dr. Ursula Goodenough's comment that science and spirituality are not mutually exclusive, but complement one another and are different aspects of the same human experience. Science can help out spirituality, and spirituality can help out science. One way science helps spirituality is it provides the story, the story that can unite all people like nothing else. The Big Bang, the formation of stars and planets, the origin and evolution of life on the planet, the advent of human consciousness, and the resultant evolution of cultures. This is the story, the one story that has the potential to unite the human family. And it also happens to be true. Humans need stories, grand, compelling stories, within which they can fit to help them orient their lives in the great cosmic story. The epic of evolution is one such story, the greatest story, beautifully suited to anchor our search for planetary consensus, telling us of our nature, our place, and our context. Responses to this story can yield deep and abiding spiritual experiences. Another way science can help spirituality is by expanding the scope of ideas like salvation. Ursula Goodenought writes, what if instead of focusing on individual salvations, we focused on the well-being of the planet and its inhabitants, both human and non-human? Wonder if our salvation lay in the flourishing of the entire biosphere. And spirituality can help science. Science is undoubtedly the greatest accomplishment of the human species. Through science, we have developed new technologies, medicines, and other practical applications that benefit us all and will continue to do so. Yet science cannot and does not free us of the need to be moral agents, capable of ethical discernment, capable of personal responsibility, and a willingness to be dedicated to the common good, and an ability to deal with life's crises, problems, stresses, and challenges. And science creates some problems that it does not resolve. We have become endangered by the powers science has given human beings. Bioweapons, nuclear weapons, and other threats literally threaten our species. Spirituality offers the possibility of the transformation of life through the development of beliefs principles, and purposes that serve life. And that's a wonderful thing. And that, I believe, is what this institution, as should all religious institutions, be dedicated to. The cultivation, the nourishment of the spirituality of the human species. At any rate, spirituality and science must find a way to work together. Again, Ursula Goodenough. The religious impulse, she wrote, is so powerful. This desire for unity, for coherence, for meaning, for value. This religious impulse is so powerfully and deeply rooted in our human psyche that it will continue to generate spiritual frameworks to make sense of our existence. And of course, science is needed to give us all the great benefits it does. The trick, she wrote, is to keep those frameworks flexible and inclusive so that they remain at one with new scientific discoveries. May it be so.